Hey guys, how are you doing? Should turn my light on. See, I've been doing everything else but that. Let's see. Oh, let there be light. A little bit warmer. Warm light does me good. Not bad light. Okay, just waiting for everybody to get on. I know I was on a minute earlier. I was actually trying to make sure I have all my notes together and everything. And of course, I have to wear my glasses now because I'm getting old and I need them. So, been kind of looking forward to this one. Written quite a few notes. Actually have a good 2.5 pages worth of notes just for everything that I wanted to make sure that I researched, looked over, and not just go from my own examples, but go from other examples as well, because this is not only just, the anger from suicide, it's also the anger from losing someone and all the stages of grief. So it's in that form. I will start off that today's been quite a busy day. It's Thursday. You all know it's Thursday for me. It was actually a better day. I can honestly say that because I've been busy. Brain has been occupied ever since I woke up at 5:55 this morning. Just been going nonstop. But I had my business networking Zoom meeting today. Since we can't meet in person, we're meeting on Zoom. So I did that this morning, and it was a really good meeting. And then I did another Zoom meeting that I was invited to about Talk Saves Lives for suicide prevention, or helping for suicide afterwards. It was good. Learned some things, but the one thing that stands out and I learned the most is everyone that goes through suicide training, prevention training, they all have signs that you can look for, that you can see, that helps you to communicate and talk and hopefully get this person out of that area. And I brought up the point after we went through the PowerPoint, and she was asking questions and everything. And of course, I asked the question is, how do you go about preventing something where there are absolutely no signs? And she mentioned the comment that when you get farther along in your grief, because it's so new, it's 12 weeks as of tomorrow, she said you will eventually see signs. Everyone can look back and see certain things. I guess maybe I'm just not there yet, but with Grayson, he was such an oddball that it just came out of the blue. So that's what I'm dealing with. And going through the stages with grief, anger seems the one that I stay in the most. So I wanted to start off with that one. I know it's a lot of people seem to be going in and out of that one, so it's one of those things where I wanted to start with that because it's still fresh and raw for me. So I wanted to go with that one. So everyone I know is hopping on, and you'll see everything in the replay. So I trying to read these, but unfortunately my eyes are getting old, so I'm trying to do that. Acceptance is another big one that I have not gotten into yet. So I think that stage is coming down the road. So let's go ahead and start with it and everything. And I will try to address everyone afterwards. I know I can't, for a lot of you who are there, better days are ahead of us. I hope so. I really do. It's our new normal. Everybody, it's awful ironic. I made the comment to my husband tonight. It was awful ironic that here we are trying to do our new normal, and now all of a sudden the whole world is doing a new normal. I don't know if Grayson had a hand in that or not, but that's the way I'm going to look at it. So if we had to do it, I guess the whole world's doing it. So thanks, Grayson. 10 years. Good Lord. I'm so proud of you for making it that long. I really am. 10 years is a long time. 12 weeks seems like an eternity. So I applaud you for that. So these are the things that I've learned. A lot of them I'm going through, and I am going to add a lot of my own to it, but the notes that I wrote down were really helpful today. Basically, anger is a mask. It's a coping mechanism. It is an emotion that we understand, and it redirects our pain and our sadness. So out of the stages of grief, we all know that anger is one of them, and a lot of people don't understand that, or some people actually do not go through anger. It is one of those things. For all the stages of grief, you don't have to go to every single stage to complete it. There's no completing grief. There is no certificate at the end. You're not saying, okay, you're done, you're normal again. That will never ever happen. You will never finish it. You will never complete it. You will never have anything except your grief. You will go through each stage. Some will last longer than others. Some will be there. Some will not be there. Some you will stay in. Some you will never go through. Each person is unique, and each person will go through their stages in their own unique way. So I can honestly say with me, the two that I seem to be in is bargaining and anger. And those are the two that I bounce back and forth with a lot. Depression, not so much. Sadness, yes. Depression, no. But there will always be the grief. You will always have a different feeling. So with anger, it is easy to understand. Like I just said, it is a coping mechanism. It is something, it's an emotion that we understand. It is an emotion that we can say, that's what I feel. I understand this. I'm angry. And it's easier for your brain to understand that. So why does grief become anger? When we lose someone, we become, when we lose someone or we become offended or something comes out or out of nowhere, a comment without warning, people, some certain people being around us that remind for those who lost due to a drunk driver or to unfortunate a murder. It is a very difficult thing. You blame, you want to be angry at that other person. So a lot of times other situations bring about our anger. A lot of it has to do with me to try to figure out the why. And for me, it's comments that certain people make unintentionally, but it just happens. With anger, you become, the feelings that go with it is bitterness, remorsefulness, guilt is huge. My husband has a lot of that. He still deals with that, and we talk constantly. You have to have your own time to grieve, but you also need to have each other as well. Blaming is a lot to do with it, and these are all part of the ones of anger, and loss of faith. And I will go through each of these as well. What I've learned a lot about anger, it does come out of nowhere. It has absolutely no warning, and you will fixate on things that you normally don't. For all the examples that I have, I will go through, and the anger that I have towards my son, it's not talking to us before this happened. It's not trusting us enough to get to the other side, to the point of not feeling that this was your option. I'm very angry with him for that respect. I'm very angry that he didn't want to talk to us. He didn't trust himself enough, or he didn't take his own advice that he had told all of his friends. And I'm very angry with him at that, and very angry that he left us. Very angry. Very angry. And angry that he went through with it, that he did it. Another thing is the unwanted comments. You guys have heard me talk about that before. People say things and they don't have the whole story. That comment on I think it was my second live that I did, of a person making a comment about living up to expectations. If you really don't know the whole story, do not make a comment that you assume something. My husband's favorite line is, assumption is the mother of all fuck ups. And I try very hard to live by that because it's absolutely true. Because if you assume something, you know what they all say is you make an ass out of you and me. And it's very, very poignant and very direct to the point of, if you do not know the whole story, do not make a comment because you don't know the whole story. Simple as that. People have made the comments that he's in a better place, or he's not in pain, or he's not having to deal with that. I really don't care. There is no better place than to be at home with his mother. People who have lost their spouses due to PTSD, suicide, or an accident, or however they've lost somebody. It's not just suicide, but however someone has lost someone, you do not tell them they are in a better place. I can understand the concept of pain, because there are some people who live with chronic pain and then just can't take it, so they do commit suicide in that respect. It is, I can see how that comment can be made, but it's still people who have to live with that day in and day out don't want to hear that, because there is no other better place than to have that person in your arms. None whatsoever. The biggest thing that I had a hard time dealing with, and I think I still do, and this really does invoke my anger a lot, is when people say that God needed him more than you do, or he's in God's hands, be faithful and stuff like that. Religious people, I understand where your heart is. I really do. But when you say things like that, you are really creating an atmosphere of anger towards that higher being. You are unknowingly making them hate God, their God, because of the fact of they took something from them. I know it's a way of life. I know things are not perfect. I understand how religious things look, but you have to look at it from that person's point. It really does cause a rift in their faith, and with that invokes anger. It makes them want to be angry at you, because it gives them someone to scream at, to get their anger out, get their hurt feelings out, and it also invokes anger from their God, their higher being, or whatnot, because it's the why. Why did you hurt me? Why did you take something from me? Those are the things in that respect. Those are the examples I have. And the fact that people say, get over it, things will get back to normal, love your other children, because you love your living children, is the way I've heard it put. You have your granddaughter, live for her, and they're all still alive, so be there for them. Yes, I have a son. I have a living son. Yes, I have a grandbaby. They are my heart. I have my husband. He is my anchor. But when people say things like that, there is no other love. There's no other love that you would want to have is that person who died. Because everything else, you know you have their love, you know they are alive, but you want something that you can't have. It's like a kid in a candy store. I want that piece of candy and I know I can't have it, so I want that one more than anything. That's the way you look at it. It's not something we'll ever get over. It's not something that will ever be back to new normals, or a normal. It'll be a new normal. And our routines are completely different now. Very different. So with that, just those examples of trying to have people to understand what really creates an atmosphere of anger. Yes, someone said that. You have a lot of people that say that. Part of the groups that I have become a part of in the morning groups, the Moms for Suicide, the grief group, and there's a couple others that they have all shared their stories. And a lot of what I'm learning about these stages that people go through, anger is a big one that people go through, and there are things that are repeated in a lot. So it's not just me, it's not just this one other person, it's many people. And a woman who lost her daughter, I think it was 15, 16 years, and she had a family member tell him, like, okay, this is enough. She's dead. You need to get over this. You need to move on. You need to live, this, that, and the other. I don't care if it's 12 weeks. I don't care if it's 10 years. I don't care if it's 20 years. I don't care. It's 99 years. You don't say stupid crap like that. You can't just say, suck it up, get over it. That's like telling me that my son never existed, that I never birthed my son, that his room is right next to me. That doesn't happen. You can't erase somebody's, especially a mother, especially a father. You cannot erase their love and know that they have existed. And that is the one thing that really, really irritates me. Tell me you're young and pretty and blah, blah, blah. Yep. I've had that. It's like, oh, don't worry. You'll move on. You'll find somebody else. Yeah, no. If anything ever happened to my husband, I'm going to be the old crazy cat lady at the end of the street. I can tell you that right now. I'll be the witch at the end of the road that everybody, is like, oh my God, throw stones at him or something. That'll be me. The situations with trying to figure it out, my daily thing is now with all this virus that is going on, I can honestly tell you I have been home more than I ever expected to be. My work really did occupy my mind, and being at home has really exposed how much that I hid from myself. Being at home, as you guys know, I've said this before, it was very difficult at first to be at home. It sucked. It hurt. I cried. Oh boy, did I cry. When you're at home, you're constantly bombarded by reminders. My office, which you guys know, is right here. The door is right here. So directly this way. If I look right here is the door. If I look right there, that's his room. His room is just as messy as he left it. Probably a little bit messier now that we've just put some stuff in there. But it is, it's hard to walk down to my office every single day because I look directly into his room. It's very difficult. Reminders are always there. You open up the refrigerator and there are things that are there that he liked. Open up the freezer to get something out for dinner yesterday, and he has a half-eaten container of ice cream in there. He only liked that flavor. I'll never eat that one, but it's the little reminders are there, and we're trying to do things around the house, and there are things that I'm not quite capable of doing, helping my husband, and Grayson was always the go-to guy. He was that person, and to think things through, and he's not here for that. So it's little reminders. It really is. The one that really hit us unexpectedly and smacked us hard this weekend, I think this is one of the reasons why this week was a little bit harder, is everybody starting to, if you have already did your taxes and you're getting your returns back, we had to do Grayson's taxes for the first time this year. We got a letter in the mail with his name on it, and next to his name says deceased. We're having to verify that we file taxes in his name. That was hard. And then having to go through and verify it, and they're shut down, and the whole chaos of that was very difficult. And you don't think about the things afterwards of having to take care of his car, the insurance, and what goes on with that, and the arrangements. Those, you're sad, but then it's like, I wouldn't be having to do all this if you were just here. And you go to that part of the anger. It's if you were just here and didn't do this, we wouldn't be having this problem right now. So it's a vicious cycle. It really is. And of course, when you're saying all that, you look at it, it's not fair. So you start becoming, again, angry with God. Why did you take him? Why did you do this? With me, it's the universe, a higher being. That's the way I look at it. It leads to, I guess you could say, shame because people look at you when you're angry and they don't understand why all of a sudden you're angry, and they look at you when they find out, like, oh, I'm sorry, so and so passed away. It's like all of a sudden they look at you and they don't want to be you. They're glad that they're not you, and they look at you, they don't know how to talk to you, but then again, it's, I'm sorry. And it's just, it's difficult. It really is. It's difficult. So it's one of those things, being numb. Oh yeah, very much being numb. So when you have, going into that with people saying things, you have the comments that I've already, I've gone over. Hovering is another thing. You have a lot of people, I've experienced, and I don't know about anybody else, but from my experiences, I have a lot of people at work, beautiful people, come from a good heart, absolutely good heart. And then you have other people that were constantly checking in or sending me messages or sending me videos or sending me biblical quotes. And I'm sure it was to my husband as well, and to my son. I speak from my own experiences. You know, I don't speak about my other son very much because I do try to protect him in that respect, even though he's old. And he has given me permission to talk about him. But I know a lot of people have checked in on him. It's really has died down now. My phone is very quiet, and I'm okay with that. Don't think I'm not. I am okay with that. This alone time during all this has really put me into a mindset of like, okay, we've got to confront this. We've got to deal with this. So with the hovering, it can be good and bad. You have a lot of people that come from a good place in their heart, but they have a tendency to hug you when you don't want to be hugged. When you're very angry, you yell at people and like, don't touch me, and they take offense to it. So a lot of people really don't know how to take your anger, and a lot of apologies had to be made. I would burst out very harsh at people, and I would have to turn around. I was like, I'm sorry. But that's the thing, is acknowledge it. Not knowing what to say, obviously, a lot of people are like that. And I just tell people, just be there. Just absolutely be there. Don't always try to hug. Don't always say, you know, try to say things. Don't try to say quotes. Don't try to say he's in a better place, get over it. You know, just be there. If you honestly don't know what to say that. I want to give you comfort, but I don't know how. But I'm here. Boom. Done. That means more than you will ever, ever understand. That's in my respect, in my case. People forget, and I'm angry about that, not him. Understandable. The comment was made, what about the anger after all the arrangements are done, weeks pass, and people forget about you? I've heard a lot of the moms, I've heard a lot of the spouses talk about that. And I have been kind of thinking about that because a lot of the kids really don't reach out anymore. I think I have to keep reminding myself is the fact that they have not forgotten. It's the fact that they feel that they can't say anything because they don't know where you are, where I am, in the respect of if I say something, she might start crying, she might get upset, it's going to feel awkward. I get that. I was that way before all this happened. It's like, okay, should I say something? Should I not say something? It's one of those things where it's a double-edged sword. It's, you want to reach out to somebody, but then again, if they're in a good place, you don't want to bring them down. It's going to happen. It's going to happen no matter what. So when you reach out to somebody, just reach out. Just say, hey, I was thinking about you. Boom. But when people who don't reach out, they have gone on with their lives, they are scared to be reminded how you are going on with your life, how I am going on with my life. And I get that. I can understand that. It sucks at times, but I can understand that. It is something that we have to learn how to deal with, not them. We have to learn how to deal with. And I think that is part of the angry stage, because we want to lash out at people and say, don't you dare forget him, or don't you dare forget them. It's an automatic thing. It's a coping mechanism. It's part of the anger. So that's the way I look at it. And it's also vulnerability, which is a huge thing. It's, you're feeling exposed emotionally. You're feeling that, what did I write down? I wrote it so good. Feeling exposed emotionally leads to anger, outbursts, and confusion and hurt. And you feel that them talking to you is constantly going to remind you of the event. You don't have to sit there and remind me at all. No one has to, because I relive that every single day and night. Every time I lay in bed and I'm sitting there trying to go to sleep, and I try so hard to go to bed exhausted every single night, so my brain just automatically shuts off, and it doesn't. So I replay the event of finding him and being in the parking lot and the ambulance and EMS being there. I replay that constantly. That will never go away, and it's always there. And people talking, yeah, it does help. I can honestly, it does help. It really does. But a lot of times people are scared to talk. The biggest thing that I want people to understand in all of these different stages is that it is normal to go through them. Anger, it's a coping mechanism, but it's a very, very normal thing to go through. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being normal. And if you don't feel a certain one, you're not wrong. You're not going through it. Everyone goes through it differently. It's a very unique way each of us go through it. And anger, I guess, with everything that my upbringing is a very, I guess, a very angry background, I guess you can say. That's the best way I can put it right now into words. So I guess that's where I stay, because it's an emotion that I understand. Even though I fought for years not to feel angry, it's just all of a sudden it's in the forefront. And I can tell you it sucks, because when you are angry, and I will speak from my experience, my husband and I, you don't think about it and your face just starts itching and you tell people not to touch your face. Sorry, squirrel moment. When you think about anger and the stage that you're going through, little things that never ever bothered you before, all of a sudden you fixate on. My husband and I have never argued so much until Grayson's passing, and it's been very difficult. And we tell everybody, as much as we don't want to tell people that we argue, but we are human. We are a very normal married couple that have been together 23 years coming up. And I can honestly say he is my soulmate. He is the best thing that's ever happened to me. He is my anchor. He is the reason why I still exist. He's the reason why I am the person that I am now. But I can honestly say there are things that this has brought out that we had no idea that we needed to work on, and I needed to work on. I will take full responsibility in that respect, and fixating on things that I never ever would expect to fixate on, and just that nail in a coffin, just keep trying to drive it home. It's like over and over again, and it's caused some arguments. And I can honestly say the last blowout that we had was truly an eye-opening experience for me, and I learned a lot from that. It was difficult, but I did learn a lot from it. I can honestly say I've learned not to fixate on certain things. I've learned to let what was really bothering me, let it go, because there's no point in it. None whatsoever. It doesn't affect us. I don't have to worry about it. I know Jeffrey's birthday's next week, and I wish I could be there for you, and he has not been forgotten. I can promise you that. And I remember the one day, I can imagine that with the garbage can. I can imagine that. There are some people who are on here now that are in this unwanted group of us losing people to suicide. We have moms, we have spouses. I've had others reach out to me with family members who have done this, and it's also the PTSD. It's also the people who've lost lives to accidents. Grief is grief. My situation is suicide. Someone else's situation is murder. Someone else's situation could be died in a car accident. Someone else's situation could be a miscarriage. It doesn't matter how you've lost someone. It is the fact that you've lost someone. It's someone that you've loved, and you're going to go through these stages no matter how it happened. You're still in this club. Suicide is a unique club, but it's still something that we've all lost. And that's the reason why I'm going through all these and trying to pay attention to you guys, but also go through this as well. And you learn to redirect. Like I was saying, I've learned not to fixate on things. I'm learning to redirect myself. I'm learning just to let things go that really are not worth arguing about. I know my husband loves me. He knows that I love him. So that's the respect that I just need to step back and I don't need that constant reminder from him now, because I think that was the biggest part of it, honestly, is that I needed to be petted. I needed to be reminded, hey, I still love you. Hey, I'm here for you. And because I had someone who always used to say that, it's not here. So I have to say that's the biggest thing, really is. So you learn to redirect yourself. You learn not to fixate on things, and you just learn not to let the little things bother you as much. And it's difficult, very difficult. It's one step at a time. I'm only 12 weeks into this. I think I'm trying to do pretty good, but I know other people who've been doing it for years. One person said on here 10 years. There was a lady that I was on the training today. It was 4 years for her. The other group that I was telling you was part of, it's 15. It doesn't get any easier. There are things that you will go through. You learn to cope. And, you find what works. And what works for me may not work for you. Everybody has different ways of coping with things. Me, growing up in a family, I was the only grandchild, the only child till I was 11 years old. So I was by myself. So I learned it was just me, myself, and I. And don't you do that. You make me cry. My husband. I've always been alone. And I can honestly say this virus is been a good thing. It's helped me to make myself understand go with that stupid ass commercial that my husband always jokes at me, a loner's got to be alone. I had to make myself laugh. Sorry. So yes, I'm a loner. I'm not Jessie. It is one of those things. I've had to learn how to be alone in this house to deal with things in a better way. So I'm using my personal coping skills to deal with that. Now, everybody's different. Now, I will say the biggest thing that you can do for yourself when you're learning to cope with this is to get help, to reach out. Whether it is people with PTSD, whether it is people who've lost loved ones to murder. And I keep saying that because I've actually known someone who lost her daughter to her daughter and a friend to a murder. And gosh, how long has it been now? 4 or 5 years, maybe even longer. I can't even remember. But the thing is, what I remember and when it hit me so much is that she sent me a picture of her and her daughter, because I used to do those parties. I was there, and I remember talking to her daughter, and she was just an absolute bright light. Funny. Ooh, she was funny. And when she sent me that picture, it all came rushing back, and I was like, oh my God. I know I lost my son to suicide. I can't even put myself in her place of losing her child to murder. And she still deals with that, even still to this day. And I was just like, wow. A woman on here had lost her husband to suicide, unfortunately, due to the military and PTSD. It is, he came home with it. She knew it. She could see it. And no matter how many of the signs are there, you try so hard to help. It's difficult. It is difficult. So when you are in those modes, and I will tell you how to help them along with all this in just a minute, but getting back to coping, you have to find what works for you. I do highly recommend talking to somebody. Me talking to you guys, me talking to people, me helping people really is what helps me. But also to the fact too that exercise, redirecting your anger, helping you cope with it. Exercise really helps. If you are that angry, go out for a run, go out for a jog, go out for a walk, go beat something up. And I'm not saying someone, not destroy things. I'm saying if you got some boxing gloves, go out and, beat around a little bit, take a baseball bat to a tree if you need to. That does hurt, by the way. I recommend it, but don't recommend it. Been there, done that. Some people like to meditate. I don't think I can meditate through anger, but I have heard that. So try meditating. Beat a pillow. If you don't have anything else, beat your mattress, Go and just go in there and beat the ever living crap out of it until your arms are so tired and you are done being angry. That really does help. Just get the emotion out. That's the biggest thing. Find, believe it or not, find a venting partner. There are people who say, if you need someone to vent to, I'm here. And if you literally mean that, be prepared. Because when someone who's gone through this and who's in the angry stage, venting is great for us, but you're going to get your feelings hurt. So be strong in that respect. Okay. Again, talk to a counselor. Best things to say is try not to vent directly to that person. Don't fixate on them and say, you did this, or you don't feel this, or you don't respect me, or, just say how you feel. Say you're angry at him, and why did he do this? Why did he put the gun to his head? Why did he let me find him? Just all, things like that. Get the true anger out, not center it on that person like I have been with my husband. You get what you're truly angry about. Angry that that person left. Angry that that person was taken away from you. Angry that they got to an accident. Angry that, whatever is specifically that you're angry at that moment for. Even if you don't know, just say I'm angry over and over again. Just scream it out. That's what helps, is to get it out. The more you get it out and the faster you get out, the quicker you'll be able to go through that. Now, again, I've been saying that I go in and out of this stage constantly. I'll be fine. And all of a sudden something will remind me and I'm just like, well, there went that night. That was a bad time. Being reminded sucks constantly. Like last night, I broke down in tears for a commercial. All of you know that my son wanted to go in the Air Force, and I wanted to be a military mom. My whole family was military, and I was so proud of the fact that he was going to go in the military. And of course, you see those commercials where the teenagers are doing something, and all of a sudden they run into their older selves in the military. Oh, I bawled because it reminded me of him and what he wanted to do, and just ugh. So yes, there are always going to be reminders, and reach out and get help. Yes, definitely. Yes, always reach out and get help. I cannot say that enough. And me reaching out to a lot of you guys, and the gentleman who just put that comment on there, Mr. James Lewis, he was there when it happened, and he is a grief counselor. He's a chaplain as well, and I didn't think I was going to get along with the chaplain, but he made a great comment, and come to find out he's practically family. His son is engaged to my niece, and never know how your worlds collide until something happens like that. And you have a lot of people that come out of the woodworks. I've had over 400 friend requests on my personal Facebook page. I have all of you on here who are on my business page, and it has grown tremendously because of you guys reaching out to me. I have people still to this day sending me messages and telling me, you never know how you affected me, or Grayson saved my life, or you saved my life. I know I have a purpose, and I know what my purpose is. And by helping you helps me. That's my unique way of coping through this. Now, granted, there are times where I get angry at some people. I shouldn't say angry, jealous. Jealous is a better way. I get jealous of people who still have their children. And I say that, and I will always feel that, because you get to have yours and not mine. And it's like, okay, why? And then I get angry because it's not fair, Again, it's a vicious cycle. The best thing I can also say is don't stay in anger, because it does affect your health. It does affect your body. I can honestly say, being at home with all this, I'm not eating correctly, even though I should, because I have no excuse. So that's why I'm trying to exercise. But it does affect your health. It does affect weight loss, weight gain. It does affect headaches. Oh, the headaches. Vitamin loss. It's a Christ thing. It's a Christian thing. Get it right. Sorry, that was the inside joke. But it does affect, your muscles. You feel like you've been beat with a baseball bat, because you're always tired. The tiredness. Oh my God, I'm tired all the time. No matter how much I go to sleep and I actually sleep, I don't feel like I've had restful. I don't feel refreshed. It is ridiculous. And I've never been a sleeper anyway, just because of my past. I have very difficult time of sleeping through the night, and it's even worse now. I don't quite have insomnia, but it's pretty darn close. It affects your jobs. It affects your friendships. It does affect your marriage, as you guys have. I've been very open about that. As much as I didn't want to be open, and neither did my husband, but we wanted to be raw and honest and open with everybody, that I guess we can't deny in that certain aspect that we want to say we want to be open, but we hold that. So we've been trying to be very aware of that and be honest with people. People have divorced over loss of their spouses, their children. People have actually committed suicide themselves. The rate of my son committing suicide because his brother did is higher by 50%. The rate of myself or my husband doing it is quite high, because we don't want to deal with the pain. We don't want to deal with the aftermath. We don't want to deal with anything. So it's quite high. Losing your spouse, it hurts, and you don't want to go through that pain, and you definitely don't want to go through everything that comes afterwards. The bank accounts, the paperwork, the cars, the insurance. I mean, it is ridiculous. And you worry about your other kids. And I was never one to be in constant contact with my kids, because I've always seen them in the evening, so I wouldn't text them throughout the day, because I would just talk to them, face to face. I'm a very face to face type person. So now I find myself constantly texting my son, my living son. New normal to say that, because, I've started saying love you more. I don't know where that came from. Just started saying it, but I say I love you more now. Because I want him to know that I want him to stay. I love him more for him being here than leaving. Woo. So yeah, getting through anger is very difficult. Getting through, you made a promise to stay. Yes, I did make that promise, and you're awesome for remembering that. So it's a difficult promise to keep at times. It really is. There's a gentleman who I was speaking to earlier that never gave much thought to him at first, because he's in my business group, and he's had some surgeries, and he's going through a lot of pain that he never thought of. And he made a comment today that he is mourning the loss of his past life. He's mourning that he's always in pain. And I asked him flat out today, have you thought about suicide? And he said, more times than I care to admit. And it's gotten to the point now where he's actually have a safety plan. And it's gotten that far now. So we all go through things that people sometimes just don't understand or they don't want to see. So when you are having to deal with something and you are trying to get through whatever emotion during the grief it is, and we're talking about anger, do what you have to do to get through it. Some people like to sing. People would pay me not to sing. Maybe I should do that. I could pay my bills. Some people want to drive. I'm a driver. I drive really good when I'm angry, but I should not do that because I don't really take a lot of precaution in that respect. Do work around the house. That's what we've been focusing on. I've been focusing and trying to get this office together. I've been focusing on getting things clean. My house is very clean. I just have not focused on Grayson's room yet. I don't think I'm ready for that. So I can honestly say the fact of take your time, go through anger. It is very normal. Acknowledge the anger. Don't fixate on something. Talk to somebody. Vent. Do what you need to do. Beat the tree with a baseball bat, you know. As I said, I don't recommend it. It hurts, but do what you have to do. Take each moment as it comes, but I promise you, you will not stay there. You might come back to it. It might be a terrible cycle that whatever emotion that you go through, but I promise you, you can get through this. It is definitely something that we have to learn, a new normal. Just like all of us now globally are learning a new normal. We're learning how to understand where we go forth from this. Grief is no different. So I thank all of you for being here. I've been trying to read your comments. And being outside helps. Yes and no. I'm very much an outside person, but I have so much in here that keeps my mind occupied. I think I kind of stay in the side. But I can honestly say being here has been the greatest. I never thought of it, but it's been the greatest thing it's ever happened to me. Being at home has made me face reality. I love my job. I love talking to people. I love talking to you guys, but being home alone has really put things in the forefront, and I'm grateful for that. So I thank you. Do you guys have any questions about anger? I know there's a few seconds delay from me talking and you commenting and stuff like that. But is there anything that you have a question or something that you want to share? I need to clean my house from the outside. It's magic. Get a wand, you know. That's another thing that I've been doing a lot of is reading. I absolutely love to read. Whether it be a self-help book, whether it be just a fantasy book, whether it be, I love my romance books, so I won't deny that, but I like historical types. Not that, 50 Shades of Grey. If you like that, it's all for you. Not so much into that. I love history. I love historical books. I love learning about mysterious things. I love the Templars. Love learning about the Templars. That's been interesting. But redirection. Find how to cope with it. Find redirection. Reach out to somebody. If you need to reach out to a chaplain, if you need to reach out to a priest, if you need to reach out to a counselor, a therapist, there are people, there are ways, there are actually texting things that you can do now. There are counselors, since we can't talk to anybody live, you have ways. There was that app, I forget what the name of it. Michael Phelps talked about it, where you can reach out and talk to somebody. There are counselors online. There are so many different ways now, and this is the one thing that I can honestly say. Where's my notes? We were talking in that Talk Save Lives group. Now more than ever, people are understanding mental health. Now more than ever, it's becoming in the forefront for people. Sorry, squirrel. People need to know that when the anger is, it's not about them, it's about the situation. Point. Spot on. That's exactly it. It's not that I'm angry at you. I'm angry at what happened. I'm angry at this situation. I get angry with Grayson. I constantly go into his room when I feel the need and I scream at him, you know, like, why did you do this? You know, or everything. It's definitely one of those things where I'm learning to put it where it should be. So it is about the situation, not about the person. But getting back to the mental health, it is becoming very, very much in the forefront, and we're understanding that us society is pretty screwed up, and what we have done to it, especially our military, and especially to our first responders, especially to my whole family is full of firefighters, flight paramedics, dispatch, military, you name it. They've been through it and they've seen things. I've seen things. I've endured things. Mental health is absolutely the key to longevity, success, and happiness. And that's what people forget. So 1-800-273-TALK is the suicide line. That is a number that everybody needs to have in their phones that you can actually call or you can text. The other texting line is 74174. I think it's 741741. I have to get back to you on that one, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. But those are ones that you can talk to. If you need to talk to a counselor, they're there. Reach out to somebody. A lot of you have been reaching out to me, and you have no idea how much that has been helping me, and I want to help you. This is my future. This is my passion. This is something that I will be in front of people telling my story until the cows come home. I was about to say until I turn gray, but with all this, it is really starting to come out. My husband was picking on me before this, and he was like, let it grow. I'm like, So thank you guys for being on here. I really appreciate you sharing. I really appreciate your kind words. I really appreciate you. Because of you, you've helped me more than you'll ever know. So I want to continue this series. I have made graphics for each one. I think the next one that I might go through is bargaining, because that's the other one that I've been in a lot. Bargaining is a very unique stage. Don't know how to quite to explain it, and we'll come to that. But anger is the one that I seem to be staying in a lot, and that's the reason why I wanted to start with this one. And I thank you, and I pray for you as well. When I pray, I light candles. That's my way of giving prayers and everything. So I thank you for sharing. I will always share my story, and for you guys, I will share your stories, because that's how we do it. We share for each other. I love you guys. Give a little hearts, some thumbs up. I will see you guys later. Love you, Gray. Thanks, son. Appreciate that. That's what happens when you have a husband who's on live in the other room. He just likes to say things. That's just not good. I'm going to have to stop him doing that. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Guilt is my main stage I find myself in. Yes, guilt is a big one, so very much so. All right. I love you. We'll work through these stages together, and as we learn, as I learn, we learn, you learn. And if you guys need anything, I'm here. And reach out to Mr. James as well. He's a really good guy. He has people that can help you as well. He's a chaplain. He's also a counselor, and very down to earth, and will make you laugh in a heartbeat. So talk to you guys later. Have a great evening. Bye, guys.